All right, everybody. Today I have what I think is an amazing Christmas or any kind of present, but since it's Christmas time and that's what I'm making them for, I think it's a great Christmas present. And what it is a birdhouse. But instead of making the birdhouse and giving it to somebody, I'm going to just make a birdhouse making kit. And I make it all out of one 6-foot cedar fence board. And the plans will be in the description. It's pretty simple. But what you have is all the wood pieces to make this birdhouse. You know, two sides, front, a roof, bottom, back, and then a little bottle of waterproof wood glue. And I'll put the link for where I've got this bottle from. A small piece of 3/8" hardwood dowel for the little perch, and then a little box of nails that put it all together. And then I went down to Harbor Freight, got a small hammer. So this was like $3 and some cents, maybe $4. So you put it all together, wrap it up, give it to some kid, and they'll be thrilled to go put together their own birdhouse. All right, well, I'll show you how I cut up this board and put it all together.
The first cut I'm going to make on my crosscut sled is at 19 inches. This allows me to break my board down a bit so it's easier to work with. And then it gives me a piece that when I make the next beveled cut across the center, it gives me the roof and the front of the birdhouse. Now I'm going to set my blade angle at 22.5 degrees. I chose 22.5 degrees because it's half of 45, and 15 didn't seem like enough, and 30 seemed to like too much, so 22.5 it was. 90 minus 22.5 is 67.5, if you didn't know. Now I'm setting my miter gauge at the same 22.5 degrees so that I can cut the two side pieces. I'm going to make one cut and it's going to make two side pieces. I turned my miter gauge around here, and that's because the rail on it is really short, and to get my board in there, it's kind of off the tabletop. But when I do that, there's no fence to push the board through. So here I clamp the board to the fence, and I just hold it really tight and push it through slow. That just prevents any kicking or anything like that. So just be very careful if you do this. As you can see, one end of that board is already cut at the right angle. So I just cut it to length and then cut out the rest of my pieces. This is the bottom piece, cut at 4 5/16. And the last cut is for the back piece, cut at 16 inches. This allows over an inch of overhang top and bottom, and that gives you something to screw through to mount this wherever you want to mount your birdhouse. Now I'm laying out for the holes. I'm laying out at the center of the board at 6.5 inches, and that will be for the 2-inch hole for the birds to go in, and then a 3/8" hole at 4.5 inches for the perch, the little dowel that will go in that hole. I chose a 2-inch hole saw because it just seemed like a good size, but I think you could probably go a little smaller. It just depends on what kind of bird you think might move in. Found these perfect little bottles to fill up with this Type Bond 3 waterproof glue. That'll be great for gluing the whole thing together.
Alright, as you can see, it's pretty simple. Now we got all of our pieces cut out. We got to package it up. I like to wrap it up in a couple pieces of plastic wrap. And what that does, it just holds everything together. You know, if you are going to wrap it up in paper and everything, it keeps some of the smaller pieces from like breaking through the edges and whatnot. So, you know, lay out a couple pieces. And then make sure all of your boards are there. This is the back piece, a couple sideboards, the roof, in the front with the holes in it, and the bottom piece. You put those together like that, makes a nice little spot for your glue bottle, package of nails, the dowel, don't forget the dowel for the perch. And the hammer is optional. I mean, a lot of people already have hammers that their kids can use, but like I said, this is Harbor Freight for $4. Kid would be really happy to get their own little hammer probably. So it's just worth throwing into the kit. So they'll be ecstatic to get their very own hammer. And then you just wrap it up like that, nice and tight. Keep all the pieces together. There you have it, folks. Put a bow on it, call it good. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, give me a comment, share it. The plans are super simple, but I will go ahead and put a link for them down in the description. Maybe some instructions on how to put it together, you know, so that you can maybe put the piece of paper in there with some instructions. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm not sure, you know, what age group this is great for, or you know, all that. So some kids might need help with it, some kids might not. All right, everybody, Merry Christmas.